Hollow Strike here, and today I'll be talking about online versus offline players and who's better, and just all about the Tekken scene and what's going on now. Basically, I want to start this video by saying that people sleep on online players way too often, and it's really when people say ranks don't matter, I think it's really just honestly I find that stupid because it just is. It's really just a dumb statement, and I'll talk about in detail why that's a dumb statement in a second. But there are a lot of I think besides that belief, there are a lot of other beliefs held by I guess a large portion of the Tekken community that are being challenged now, and it's pretty exciting. Mostly a lot of underdog competitors are coming out of nowhere, quote unquote, that are really changing the way people think of good players and where they could come from. And I think it's making the Tekken scene very exciting. As a both an online and offline player, I find that very exciting to be a part of. So some of the top players I think in the world right now, I guess in no particular order for Korea. For Korea, I would say it's in this order: Knee, Low-High, Rangchu, JDCR, and Saint. Knee, I think, is really strong because he historically has done very well in every tournament. He's been very consistent, and of course, he's the only person in the world who's gotten every single character Tekken God Prime. It's not something that people could do, and I don't think many people will. I don't think anyone else anytime soon will get every single character Tekken God Prime. It may even be just Knee will be the only person in Tekken 7 to get all those ranks. Low-High, he's won Evo. He's also a really strong player. Rangchu and JDCR and Saint. I put them as 4th and 5th only because I feel like they've been sliding recently. They are, I don't think, as dominating as they have been in previous years. They're still really strong players. I know JDCR sort of has been thinking he wants to sort of move away from Tekken. He's kind of getting tired of it, but he's still a really strong player. I just don't think he's quite at the level of the first three. And it may be he's just slipping or just not taking the game as seriously right now, and that's fine. He's obviously dominated Tekken for a long enough time. If he wants to do something else in his life, all the power to him. It's Tekken can't be his whole life. And same with Saint. Saint I think hasn't been as dominated recently either for one reason or another. In Japan, I wouldn't say this in any particular order. Noroma, Yu, Taisei, and Chiri Chiri. I feel like Noroma and Yu are more well known. They are, I think, very strong Japanese players. Taisei, I think, is somewhat well known, but I think people sleep on Chiri Chiri. I think he's sort of you see him if you look at previous footage for top 8 tournaments like at Evo. You'll see Chiri Chiri in a lot of top 8 finishes. He is always placing pretty highly, and I think people I guess don't give him enough notice or credit. So I really do consider him a top player. If you watch him play, he knows what he's doing. And then of course for Philippines, we have AK and Book. We all know Book. Famously beat Nice Kazuya in a tournament. I think sometime last year, and that was of course all the rage during that time. I think part of the reason because Knee was sticking to Kazuya, that may have been just simply because to show off to fans, but I think he probably could have done better if he switched to, like, I don't know, Brian or Devil Jin. I'm not sure if I agree with the Kazuya pick, but Knee definitely knows the matchup better than I do, so I can't really comment on that too much. For the USA, I think this is also in order. We have Jimmy J. Tran, Anakin, Lil Majin, Akumu, and then Naraka Shinu, and then Fighting GM. And there's a specific order why I think that. So Jimmy J. Tran is he plays Brian, and people don't know him, but I feel like any Tekken person knows Jimmy J. Tran. Basically, he's done a first to 10 against Knee, a mirror match with Brian, and he actually has won. I think he won 7 or 8 of that first attempt, and so he made Knee work for that first attempt. And this is Knee is someone considering Knee knowing as much character and matchup knowledge as he does, and being as experienced in offline and online play, and being able to adapt as well as he does. That's a really impressive feat. That alone, I think, makes Jimmy J. Tran a top player. But of course, he's won tournaments in the past. He's beaten Knee and JDCR. He's proven himself in tournaments for a long time. And he always places very highly, and he can compete with the world-class players. And he's no joke. And many Korean players, so the top Korean players, give him a lot of respect. And I think that's rightly so. And then Anakin, I would say, is kind of the same, right? Anakin placed top 8 in Evo 2017. He's very well known for being a really strong player. I would imagine definitely the best Jack player in America, and definitely one of the best Jack players in the world. And he, of course, is very strong fundamentally. He just knows the game very well. Lil Majin, I feel like Lil Majin has always been a really strong player, but I think he particularly shined last year with his top 3 finish at Evo. That, of course, and beating JDCR. Of course, I think that sort of solidified him as, world class. He has always been good, and I really like watching his streams. I'm a big fan of his gameplay. He's very strong. And then I think as Akumu is new, right? And not many players know him outside of the YouTube community, but I think and there's a lot of controversy around Akumu. But in terms of his raw skill, and I'll get into why I think this specifically in a little bit, but I will place him as top 4. And then I would say Fighting GM is a little after that. I think Fighting GM is a very strong player. I used to play him a lot. he's very good. I don't know if we always get along, but he's a very strong player, and there's no doubting that. And for Pakistan, we have Arslan Ash. We know people know him now because he destroyed Nii and other top Koreans, many times. Well, not many times, but several times, and he's new. His Kazumi is really dominating, and he's really made a statement with the Evo Japan victory. And it's not just him because his whole home Tekken scene in Pakistan. There are a lot of really strong players who do actually who compete and beat Arslan Ash. So I think that there are a lot of unknown players who should be in this list. We just don't know who they are, but they are very strong competitors, I'm sure. So when people say ranks don't matter, let's talk about why that's nonsense, right? So for any person who plays both online and offline and has done really well offline, they're also going to do well online. Because it's all about fundamentals. Online play is a little different because in a deathmatch you have more time to adapt. So the pace you play differently when you're not under the gun so much to win. In tournaments it's always first to two, so there's not a lot of time to make a lot happen. And so you really have to be very quick in your decisions, and you have to really. It takes a lot. It takes a certain mindset that's different from online play. So tournament play is different from online play, but that does not mean that Tekken is somehow magically different offline than it is online. Obviously there's a little bit of input lag delay, and that does change the game slightly, but not to the point where it makes such a dramatic difference. So Nii, for online, what has he done? Eric Harris Tekken got Prime. I don't think anyone else even hit 20. If anyone else has hit 20, let me know because I'd be very curious to see who that person is. And of course, he's won. Not won, but placed top 8 in probably every major that he enters. Lowhigh, he has 7 characters, Tekken God Prime. He won Evo, speaks for itself. And I think Lowhigh actually may have placed top 8 in every major tournament he's entered. I used to follow that the tournament standings more actively than I do now. But I don't think there's ever been a tournament that he's entered that's a major and he's placed below top 8. I could be wrong on that, but I would imagine if there are some like that, there are very few relative to how many he's placed top 8 in. JDCR, he doesn't really play online much. He does play online, but I don't think he really plays it seriously. And he does win whenever he plays there. He probably is very used to offline play, but like I said, he can, if he really wanted to, he could get Tekken God Prime easily. And like I said, he plays top 8 in every major, or most major. Fighting GM, 2 Tekken God Primes, Guinness World Record holder for Tekken Tag 2. He's been less active in Tekken 7, but he was a Geico 2018 finalist. So that's self-explanatory. And I think he has at least 2. I think it's Negan and Jack, and then I would imagine, I'm sure he probably has some other ones I just don't know because I don't follow his streams as often as I want to, but he's very good. Of course, he also placed Evo top 8 Evo 2017. Jimmy J Tran, he doesn't play online, but if he were to, he would get Tekken God Prime. This is obvious. And like I sort of talked about his first attempt with Nii. He tuned as very well against world-class players. So and then we have Akumu, right? So Akumu plays online and offline, but he started online, and he has 8 Tekken God Primes. And I think he hasn't been playing offline too much, but I think his most significant, debut was the fact that his first tournament he ever entered was a major, which by itself is different, right? Because most people when they first start going offline, whether an online player or not, do not enter majors for the first tournament because it's harder. But he placed top 8 at his first major, and it also was his first tournament. But he only has 3 years of playing experience. And I don't know if anyone in the States at least has had their first tournament be a major and place top 8 in. It's hard enough to place top 8 as a major at any point in your Tekken career, but just for your first one, that speaks to something of your talent that you can really, once you keep improving, you'll be really unstoppable. So, and this kind of goes to the point of the hidden talent, right? So I think people in the Tekken scene, they kind of think that the only good players are the ones who show up to the offline tournaments, the major offline tournaments, and this is not. While obviously those players are very, very good, they're not the only good players. Like Arslan actually came out of nowhere. I would imagine the offline scene in Pakistan, and he totally destroyed all the the veterans, people who you'd think would win. So that's sort of that. So what that means is that there could be very, very good players who do not compete in these tournaments who are better than these top offline players. And that's an offline example. And then for an online example, think about Akumu, right? So Akumu, like I said, he's been playing for that long. He's a controversial person for various reasons. I don't really know because none of those reasons really make sense. It's kind of just jealousy, I think, most of the time. But it's been fun. It's been fun as a spectator and as someone who actually plays with him often, and I consider him a friend of mine. He is very, very strong at the game, and he certainly has. He has proven himself to be a super strong competitor. He plays offline at the I think at ATL. He plays in Atlanta, right? So, and he has many players there who said, "Oh, he can only play online," or that his strategies only work well online. You know, he totally destroyed that notion. And again, this is another example of beliefs that are false, where these players can come out of nowhere and just dominate these top offline players. So just because someone plays offline does not really mean anything. That just means they play offline. That's all it means. It doesn't mean they're better than online players. And Akuma is just one example of that. Myself personally, I started going offline, I believe last year in sometime in August, maybe. No, maybe it was August. Yeah, I guess it has been. I guess it was August last year. It was not a major, but I did place top two. Even though if you look at my tournament record online on Smash GG, it says I won that tournament. I actually didn't, but that's anyway. So and then for every other offline event I've gone to, I've placed very, very highly, and that's the reason why I didn't place as high as I wanted to, is because I had to work through some tournament nerves. And I just also need to learn certain matchups against characters like Anna, for example. At the time, I was not good against Anna for a little while, and then, but then I won a tournament recently that was an online tournament. You know, I won a little bit of cash for that. But the point I'm making is that I myself, I also want to prove that the online community is very, very strong. You know, I was an online player only for a long time, but you know, I've won a lot of respect in my locals, and every term I've entered from these exclusively offline players, and they say I'm very good. So that means I'm doing something right, and that's again, you know, coming from an online background. So pretty much, you know, if anyone's in second community, just always keep in mind that good players can come out of anywhere, whether they're online like Akumu coming out of nowhere, or they're like offline or in some unknown region of the, well, not unknown region, but less recognized region of the world like Pakistan. Does not mean that these players can't dominate. And personally, I think that with, you know, probably by the end of the year, Akumu will be so strong that he will be. I would say most people in the U.S. second team would know him, and he probably will win a major if he enters them. He's continuously improving, and his skill level is really quite impressive. And he's won a lot of respect from Lil Majin, from Cuddlecore, and you know, other veteran players. So he's really making a name for himself, and it kind of inspires me to do the same for myself. Maybe I'm not going to be as good as Akumu, because it's just not, probably not for me to be that good. But you know, he has inspired me to push myself to get as good as I possibly can at the game. So that's pretty much, I guess, wraps up this presentation. You know, I have more videos coming out soon. I just want to take a little bit break from posting just streaming content, because not a lot of people watch my streams. So I'll probably just post my big noteworthy stream moments. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to talk about, you know, anything I talked about in this video, you know, feel free to put it in the comments section below, and you know, hope you guys enjoyed it. So I'll see you guys later.